II in search of an answer. Einstein was invited late in 1931 by the League of Nations International Institute of Intellectual Cooperation to select a correspondent on a subject of his choice. Already engaged in addressing anti-war organizations, Einstein decided to invite Freud as his correspondent to answer the question, is there a way of delivering mankind from the menace of war? Freud, he assumed, would understand better the dark places of human will and feeling. The result was a short pamphlet published in German, French, Dutch, and English with the title, Why War? Einstein was disappointed with the answer. Freud insisted that violence was characteristic of the entire animal kingdom, mankind included, and could see no effective way of inhibiting the urge to fight and destroy, which derived from what he called the death drive, a psychological impulse to destruction in every living being. Freud's morbid conclusion has been explored often since in the attempt to understand the biological, psychological, cultural, and environmental mechanisms that make war an unavoidable part of the human story. The results of this attempt include at least 5 books with the title Why War, and a great many more on its causes. Yet the answer to the question remains contested, fractured, and frustratingly elusive after almost a century of further argument, both scientific and historical. Indeed, given the human propensity to organized coalitional warfare over much of the long human past, the question might be posed the other way round. Why not? Humans have proved to be a belligerent species. As the psychologist John Bowlby put it in 1939 in a study of the urge to fight and kill, no group of animals could be more aggressive or more ruthless in their aggression than the adult members of the human race. Of course, humans do not wage war all the time or everywhere, otherwise Homo sapiens might well have become extinct. Warfare is a part of human evolution, one of the tools in what Azar Gatt has called man's toolkit for survival, but only one of them. War and peace are often presented as the only options, but they are part of a more complex set of survival strategies throughout human history. Understanding war also means explaining why periods of peace break down. The one constant has been the resort to collective lethal violence between human groups when need or fear or ambition or prejudice, even appeal to the supernatural, has prompted war, from the earliest evidence of violence to the wars and civil wars of the 21st century. The purpose of this book is to examine the ways in which warfare has been explained by the major disciplines since Freud and Einstein's inconclusive exchange, and to assess the plausibility of these explanations. There are many distinct approaches, but they can be divided broadly into 2 kinds of explanation. The major human sciences, biology, psychology, anthropology, and ecology, have explained war in their own terms as evolutionarily adaptive, or culturally determined, or the product of ecological pressures. From these perspectives, human beings become the object of natural or cultural forces that can be understood to determine why warfare has occurred in the evolutionary past. These form the subject matter of the first part of this book, and they are applied, unlike much of the research in these fields, to modern war as well as warfare over the past millennia. On the other hand, historians and social and political scientists, and many anthropologists and archaeologists, are more likely to explore warfare in terms of human cognition, with mankind as creator of the cultures that sustain warfare and human beings as conscious agents in the pursuit of objectives that can vary widely in time and place. What might be termed the proactive explanations of warfare can be conveniently reduced to 4 broad motivational categories, which form the subject matter of the second part of this book: resources, belief, power, and security. Explanations that are based on this latter causal nexus are more consistent with warfare in the modern age, as states develop the capacity to wage war between great powers, but belief, power, security, and the struggle for resources are evident drivers of early conflict, even among pre-state communities in which